This is John Madden, Roger John Madden in Victoria, Ciudad Victoria, Tamaulipas State, Mexico. And it's late, probably 11 o'clock at night, and I'm not arranging a lot of flashlights in my van because my van is gone. It's no longer parked over there. The tire is still there, the busted tire. It's off at the shop. So I'm standing under a street light at the back of the Hampton Inn Hotel, where the most recent lovely thing the staff have done is that they're really tuning into my big dog Magic, who's over there by that white car, grieving over the loss of Pepe 2 days ago. Magic had become quite a little mom. He's got nanny dog instincts. And he went from, in 18 days, from being super jealous of this interloper to giving Pepe tongue baths, head to toe, which Pepe thrilled over. I think it felt to Pepe like mom, and I think he left mom too early, probably 6 weeks. I think he was maybe 9 weeks when he died on Thursday. I want to describe a conversation I had with a very charming young Latino woman, Mexican woman, middle class, clearly comes from a comfortable financial background, and I met her parents. Very well educated, well traveled in Mexico, and so fluent and so wonderfully spoken and intelligent on so many topics. And 17, when she told me she was 17, knocked me out like, wow, how'd you get to be this sharp so young? And we were talking about Latino culture. And I was telling her a story on myself from the hotel here. The first night we stayed in the hotel, which was about a month ago, 1 o'clock in the morning, I was roaming the halls, not really roaming the halls, but on my way down to the lobby for something, and I guess on my same floor, it must have been, I ran across a lovely 40-year-old or something like that woman who, totally in Spanish, gushed so much in my direction that I went woozy. It was like, what is she saying to me? And then I was down talking with the front desk guy, who I didn't really know, and she came by and did it again. And I said to him, and his English was good, and I said, is she saying she wants me? There was no reason to think that would be true, but I couldn't understand why there was all this emotion. And he says, no, she's saying you've got a cute puppy. So I told that story to this young Helen out in front of the hotel tonight, just as an example of Latino expression of feelings is so rich and vibrant that I have to learn to translate it, because that level of emotion would mean more in the U.S. And she says, yeah, U.S. people are reserved and stiff compared with us. We really let it all hang out. And she said, when we're mixing with a group of U.S. people, we frequently find it boring because they're just not alive like we are. And it's so true. So true. It's a culture that supports emotion instead of analysis. And it's a culture that supports connection more than rugged independence or separateness. People feel like there's more a sense of we and more a sense of welcoming to the stranger. Genuine welcoming, the way they have embraced us from start to finish here. What a place. I feel so blessed. At the same time, I'm so totally overwhelmed by everything so different, and my language still so terrible. Getting better. It is a kind of immersion class I've been dropped into, and within the limits of my very limited vocabulary, I'm kind of fluent. And the other night when a new friend from Houston who had grown up around here brought her cousin back to see my car and brainstorm about who we might, and it was through him that we got to Joshua, who's helping us now. And when he was leaving, he said, mucho gusto. And I said, igualmente. And they both like that a lot, that had just rolled off my tongue. And the first couple of times I would say mucho gusto, proud of myself that that's the way you take leave of someone, like, it's been great meeting you. And they would say igualmente. I went, is he saying I look like an iguana? Because that's the kind of shit guys would, you look like an iguana. But little by little it's coming. But when we're running errand after errand and trying to get things done with my PayPal card that doesn't work and my language that doesn't work, it gets awfully stressful. So I get really exhausted. And then add on that, the stress of losing my beloved puppy. It's a lot. It's a lot. And the car broken down. And through Blanca's cousin, Enrique, we got to Joshua, who's an inspired mechanic. He's a real cowboy. I'm guessing he's like 35. Spent a lot of time in Houston, and he doesn't just speak English. He speaks very hip street English. He's sharp, and we have so much fun with each other, and he's so direct. He's the one a few days ago said, so why do you want to move to Mexico? I said, because I like Mexico more than the United States, and because I like Mexicans more than USers. He says, yeah, good. That's a good reason. And there's tremendous poverty. Tremendous poverty. It's not heaven, but the poverty hasn't corrupted people's love of life. And in the case of Helen today, her middle class comfort has not ruined her innocence and freshness and aliveness. I grew up Irish Catholic. My mom didn't touch us because that's what Irish Catholic women were like. They were non-touch. At the end of her life, you know, some people at the end of life get more stuck in their ruts, more rigid. She softened and let go, and softened and let go, and wanted to be hugged and surrendered to those hugs. And I'd rub her feet, give her foot massage. And one time when I took her to the emergency room and there was no nurse around when she needed to use the commode, I was the one who helped her on from the table to take a little dump and wiped her butt. And she looked at me with this sweet look in her eyes and said, who'd have thought? You know, to have it turned around like that. Who'd have thought? It was great. Our last few years together was so great, so wonderful. One of her next to last coherent words, she said, John, I'm afraid. And I said, Mom, wow, you haven't been afraid. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid I'm not dying. Because she had terrible osteoporosis. She was 88. She was so ready to go. I'm afraid I'm not dying. Well, the hospice nurse had said that morning, we really knew all the signs. She said, she's got about 36 hours. So I just said, Mom, don't be afraid. You're right on track. You're doing great. Just keep going. And then her very last words, my brother, who had not done good by her, we even put her in, when she had her big heart attack and they said she has 10 weeks, we put her in a nursing home right near my brother and sister-in-law so they could see her more often, and they still didn't. On Thanksgiving, they stopped by for breakfast and then blew off for the rest of the day and just did their lives. When she was at death's door, he came to her little room and agonized. He sat by her comatose body in agony. It was so clear. And finally, before he left, I yelled in her face, Mom, it's Terry. He came to see you. And she popped up on the bed, looked at the person who most needed to hear this and said, I love you so much. And those were her last words. Pretty good way to go out, huh? We should all be so lucky as to go out sending love and forgiveness to the person who most needs it. I'm not going to do that. No. I'm going to go out saying, fuck you. No, I still say fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I don't care. I'll carry that to the next. Do not go gentle into that dark night. Go out saying, fuck you. No, I want to do it like my mom. Yeah.